Hi, we have here another video for another lesson. So in the previous one, we talked about the measures of position of ungrouped data. Ngayon, pag-usapan naman natin ang measures of position ng grouped data. So isa sa mga videos ko noon ay tinalakay ko ang pagkuha ng median ng group data. At ito ang formula. Well, actually, the formula of getting the median is very much similar sa pagkuha din ng percentile, decile, and quartile ng group data. So, nandyan. Okay, so they're a little bit identical. Dyan lang sila nagkaiba. Yung naka-red dyan, yan yung difference. And actually, yung part na naka-red na yan, like for example, dito sa median, ginagamit natin yung part na to para malaman natin yung median class. So same din lang dito. Ang gamit ng part na to is for us to know kung saang interval nakalocate yung ating percentile. Okay, so ito, after solving for this, malalaman natin kung nasaan yung decile class. Okay, so kung may median class, meron din tayong tinatawag na percentile class, decile class, and quartile class. So let's have an example. Okay, suppose we have this group data right here, and we're asked to solve for the P sub 50 or the 50th percentile. So since percentile yan, we'll be using the one with the denominator of 100. So ito. Okay, first step to do is to add two columns for the lower boundary and the less than cumulative frequency. So para makuha yung lower boundary, we just have to subtract 0.50 from the lower limit of the class interval. So nandito ang ating class intervals. Ito ang ating mga lower limit. And to get the lower boundary, we just have to subtract 0.50 from this lower limits. So let's do that. 30 minus 0.50 is 29.50. So subtracting 0.50 from 35, that is 34.50. And so on, hanggang sa makompleto yung column na to. Okay, so after this column, we also solve for the less than cumulative frequency. So paano makuha to? Well, actually maraming nagkakamali dito kasi kung ano yung nasa taas, doon sila nagsisimula mag-add, which is actually not supposed to be. Kasi ang basihan ng less than cumulative frequency, well, actually, we are going to start adding from the lowest class intervals frequency. So, ang lowest class interval natin dito is 30 to 34. So, ang frequency ng lowest interval natin is 2. So, yun yung ilalagay natin dito. Then, after that, we're going to add this one here to the next frequency. So, 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, so nagkakamaling iba kasi sometimes the class intervals are arranged in descending order. That is from highest to lowest. Ito kasi naka-arrange siya from lowest to highest. Basta kung ano kasi yung nasa taas, yun na yung kinokopya nila. Yung basihan doon is actually mag-start tayo mag-add from the frequency of the lowest class interval. So ito yung lowest class interval, ito yung frequency niya. We are going to start adding from that. Okay, so 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 plus 6 is 15, and so on. Okay, so to know if your answers here are correct, you have to add the frequency. So kung i-add ko to, actually yung sagot dyan is 40. So dapat mag-match yung sum ng frequencies at yung last na less than cumulative frequency. So dapat 40, 40. So tama naman. Okay, now after completing the table, actually we are now ready to determine the 50th percentile class. Sabi ko kanina, kung may median class, meron tayong percentile class. But since we're looking for the 50th percentile, you have to look for the class interval kung saan nakalocate yung 50th percentile. So malalaman natin yon by using this part of the formula. So Kn over 100. Okay, so solve natin to. I-substitute natin si 50 in place of K. Kung ano man yung subscript, yun yung isa-substitute natin in place of K. N naman, that is the total number of data in the data set. So dito we have 40. So we substitute 40 in place of N over 100. And then we solve for the result. That is 2,000 over 100. So the answer here is 20. So ito na ngayon ang magiging basihan ng ating 50th percentile class. So if we're going to look at this column, yung less than cumulative frequency, titingnan natin dito yung mga cumulative frequency greater than 20. So ito yung mga cumulative frequency greater than 20. Pero ang kailangan natin is yung lowest cumulative frequency greater than 20. So alin ba yung lowest dito? That is actually 26. So ito na ang ating 50th percentile class. Nandito sa interval na to ang 50th percentile. After determining the class where the 50th percentile is located, well, actually pwede na tayong mag-substitute sa ating formula. So P sub 50 is equal to the lower boundary of the 50th percentile. So nandito ang ating 50th percentile. Yung lower boundary is 49.50 plus. So nasolve na natin yung part na to, and ito is 20 minus. Okay, so for this one here, we are not going to substitute 26. What we're going to substitute is the cumulative frequency of the lower class preceding the class that contains the 50th percentile. Okay, so kagaya din lang sa pagkuha natin ng median, di ba? Hindi yung cumulative frequency ng median class ang isa-substitute natin, kundi yung cumulative frequency ng lower class just next to the median class. So dito, we're going to substitute 15. Okay? Because this is the cumulative frequency of the lower class next to the class that contains the 50th percentile. Okay, so ganun lang yun guys. Okay, basta for the cumulative frequency, yung kukunin natin is yung cumulative frequency just preceding the class that contains the 50th percentile over the frequency of the 50th percentile class. Okay, so yung frequency is 11. And then I for the class size. Okay, again, we can obtain the class size simply by counting. Pili lang tayo ng class interval, like for example, ito, 30 to 34. We start counting from 30. So 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. The class size is 5. An alternative way of getting the class size is by subtracting a lower limit to the next lower limit. Gets ba? Parang 35 minus 30, parang ganun. 40 minus 35. The answer is 5. Okay? Now, i-input ko na lang siya sa calculator and let's see kung ano ang 50th percentile. And so the answer here is 51.77. Okay? So this one, guys, is the 50th percentile. Kung titingnan nyo guys, yung nasolve natin is a number in between 50 and 54. So dapat ganun guys. So kung yung nasolve mo dito is 61, then the answer is wrong. Kasi nga, yung 50th percentile class natin is supposed to be a number in between 50 to 54. So that is also one way of checking if your answer is correct. Okay, so let's proceed to another example. Here we are going to solve for the third decile. So decile naman, papalitan lang yung denominator ng 10. Itong part na to ng formula. Okay, so alam natin ang pagkuha ng lower boundary at saka yung less than cumulative frequency. Now we determine the third decile class. Okay, so K, whatever the subscript is, yun ang isa-substitute natin in place of K. So 3, and then N, that is the number of data. Well, actually, we're using the same data kagaya nung ginamit natin nung previous example. So that is 40 divided by 10. So 3 times 40 is 120 divided by 10. The final answer there is 12. Now, we are going to look into this column. Tingnan natin yung cumulative frequency greater than 12. Okay, so ito yung mga cumulative frequency greater than 12. Pero tingnan natin yung lowest cumulative frequency greater than 12, and that is actually 15. So ito na guys ang ating third decile class. So after determining the third decile class, pwede na tayong mag-substitute sa formula. So the third decile is equal to the lower boundary of the third decile. So Ito yung third decile class. Ang lower boundary niya ay 44.50 plus kn over 10, which we solved already, that is 12, minus the cumulative frequency that we will be substituting here is not 15, but yung cumulative frequency ng class preceding the third decile class. So ito yung third decile class. Yung cumulative frequency na isa-substitute natin is ito. It's 9 over the frequency of the third decile class. So ito yung third decile class. What we're going to substitute is 6. And multiplied to the class size, which is 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. It's 5. Again, idediretso ko na siya sa calculator. And so the answer here is an exact whole number, which is 47. So kung tinignan niyo ulit yung sagot dito, dapat yung number na to ay a number na kabilang dito sa class interval na to. So tama ang sagot natin. Okay, so let's proceed to the last example. Solve for the upper quartile. Now, kapag ka-quartile yan, kapag ka-upper quartile, that is actually the third quartile. Again, we determine the third quartile class, and we'll be using this part of the formula. Kn over 4. K is 3, whatever the subscript is. And then n is 40. Well, we're using the same data set divided by 4. And so that's the answer. So after this one, we can now locate where the third quartile class is. So we look into this less than cumulative frequency column. Tingnan natin yung mga cumulative frequency that are greater than 30. Greater than 30, okay, nandito sila. But what we're going to get is the lowest cumulative frequency greater than 30. And that is 34. So nandito yung ating third quartile class. Okay, so nalaman na natin ito, pwede na tayong mag-substitute sa formula. So lower boundary of the third quartile class, lower boundary that is 54.50 plus, okay, this part right here, na-solve na natin siya as 30 minus less cumulative frequency. So, hindi si 34 ang isa-substitute natin, kundi yung cumulative frequency of the class preceding the third quartile class. So, that is 26. And then, the frequency of the third quartile class, that is 8. Multiplied to the class size, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So, it's 5. Alright, now pwede na natin itong i-diretso sa calculator, input sa calculator. So, let's see. The third quartile is equal to 57. So, as you can see, 57, it is a number in this interval. So, tama ang ating sagot. So, ganun guys ang pagkuha ng percentile, decile, and quartile ng group data. So actually, as I check the papers of my students, yung common mistake is that if they're going to get the less cumulative frequencies, sometimes they are rearranging the class intervals from highest to lowest, and doon na sila nagsisimulang magkamali. Kasi kung ano kasi yung nasa taas ng table, kung ano yung frequency doon, doon sila nagsisimulang mag-add to get the cumulative frequencies, which is not supposed to be. Kasi yung less than cumulative frequency, dapat magsimula ka mag-add from the frequency of the lowest class interval, okay? Another common mistake is that sa pag-substitute ng cumulative frequency sa formula. So we're not going to substitute the cumulative frequency of the median class or the percentile class or the decile or the quartile class. What we're going to substitute is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class, percentile class, quartile class, or the decile class. So take note of those, guys. I hope you will not repeat the same mistakes. So that is all, guys, for this video. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.